Hello everyone, welcome to this revision lecture of the subject Indian Ethos in Management for semester 6, which is an HR elective. All of you might be very much worried about your exams. The Mumbai University will very shortly announce the 6th semester exams, which will be online. The mode of the exam, how it is going to be conducted, the paper pattern, everything is going to be given in detail to professors. We will be all seeing to it that you all will excel in this exam. So please put your worries aside and start brushing up your studies. In an attempt to just recollect the different aspects of the subject, I have just made this revision lecture. I hope it will be useful to you. So let's begin. The subject is Indian Ethos in Management. We are going to study various topics. As all of you know, we have 4 modules in this. This is my introduction. I am Professor Seema Asher. I teach in the Mulund College of Commerce in the Department of Management Studies. We must always have an open mind because a negative mind will never give you a positive life. With that note, let's begin. The first unit covers ethos, its features, elements, need for Indian ethos, management lessons from various Indian scriptures like the Vedas, Quran, Bible, and so on. And in the last part is Indian heritage and impact on production and consumption. So let's see all this a little briefly. What is Indian ethos or what is ethos? Let's begin with that. Ethos are moral ideas and attitude that belong to a particular group or society. You must have come across the term ethics, but ethics and ethos are different from each other. We will see the differences in the next slide. Ethos is an attitude or an idea of a particular culture, particular country, particular group of people. Okay, ethos is a discipline that examines one's morality and moral standards of the society. For example, a particular group of people will be very honest, they will have very high morals. Some people will be very dishonest, you know. So ethos, you cannot term ethos as good or bad. Ethos is something which belongs to a particular group of people or a particular nation or a particular society. Indian ethos is based on our Indian scriptures like the Bible, Gita, Quran, and so on. Now, what is the difference between ethics and ethos? You have learnt one whole subject on ethics. So, ethics is something which is universal in nature. It is the same everywhere, you know, whichever part of the world you go, the ethics remains the same. But ethos is culture specific or region specific or country specific. So, ethos will change according to the country, according to the group of people, according to the region you are going, and so on. Ethos is derived from culture, whereas ethics is derived from Shastra. Ethics is something very basic, for example, truth, non-violence, devotion, kindness, which do not change wherever you go. To any region you go, it remains the same. You know, the value of these ethical terms remains the same. Whereas in ethos, you have examples like, you know, welcoming people by namaste, pranam to or respect to elders, love to youngsters. These are very region specific, you know. Now let us talk about Indian ethos. In India, what is the ethos? What are the different principles which are valued, which are considered important? Indian people specify or they stress on knowing oneself, you know, knowledge of oneself. Our scriptures talk about knowing oneself. They also talk about individual development and self management, self development. We believe in a holistic approach of life. We believe in values like self sacrifice, team spirit, and self motivation. Now, what is the purpose of Indian ethos? Why are we learning this? Why should an HR manager understand this term Indian ethos? The reason behind that is that if you want to be a good manager, you should have a very good principles so that you can manage all your employees well. You should understand the ethos of the employees who are working with you. So through the understanding of Indian ethos, you will develop a proper management. You will ensure all-round development for your employees as well as yourself. You will work sincerely and you will see that your team also works sincerely. This will improve the productivity of the employees. Now, if you look at the difference between Western management and management based on Indian ethos, there is a remarkable difference between both. In the Western countries, the whole emphasis is on materialism, whereas in India, it is more bent towards group effort, towards spirituality, harmony, unity, and so on. So you can look at all the points of difference over here. The remarkable point over here is conflict resolution is by negotiation, compromise, arbitration, liquidation, and so on. But there is no reference to higher consciousness. Whereas here in India, conflict resolution is through integration and synthesis on stressing superordinate common goal so that there is harmony and unity in the organization. Western management focuses more on brainstorming, whereas the Indian management talks about brain stilling, where silence, meditation is given more important. In the Western countries, the development is more physical or at the most mental level. But whereas in India, it is a little higher than that. Of course, we have physical, mental development also, but at the same time, spiritual development is also given more importance. The approach in the Western countries is external, whereas in India it is internal. Now let's come to unit number 2. Unit 2 talks about work ethos, values, and the difference between secular and spiritual management. Now, what is work ethos? It refers to certain norms of behavior governing the conduct of workers involved in a work situation to achieve certain desired objectives. When you are working in any organization, that particular organization has its own culture, has its own style of working, has its own working environment. So that is exactly work ethos. The two levels of work ethos are the basic level and the top level. Basic level of ethos is those bare minimum things which should be there, components which should be there in any organization. And these are discipline, proper behavior with supervisor, colleague and subordinate, punctuality, dignity of work, and no wastage of time during working hours, and taking up work on ethical basis. As you go up the ladder, the top level management should also have these different qualities as work ethos. The work culture should be excellent, there should be total loyalty, good communication, taking up of responsibility, sense of belongingness, and protection of interests of the organization. Now let's go to the next term in the second unit, that is values. What are values? This term has been derived from the Latin word valere, which means they are some set of principles or standards of behavior that are regarded as desirable. What are the features of values? They are universal. That means they are the same everywhere. For example, honesty, punctuality, discipline. These values are same whether you are in India, whether you are in UK, whether you are in US. They remain the same. Values act as a moral compass. They guide you, they help you, they give you a sense of direction, they give you purpose, they help to build the society, and they create harmony in the organization. Now, there is a term in the second unit which is transcultural human values. Now, what are transcultural? Transcultural means it is beyond any culture. So, they are values which are same across the different cultures in the whole world. These values make an individual a good manager. So if you want to be a good manager, you need to have all these human values, whether you are in India or whether you are in any other country. There is a difference between secular values and spiritual values in management. Now, what are these secular values? Secular values refer to worldly thoughts and philosophies, and spiritual values refer to the insights which are thrown on management by Vedas and Upanishads. These insights are given by the Vedas and Upanishads or by our spiritual gurus. Secular values are based on Maslow's need hierarchy theory, where you have the physiological need, psychological need, emotional need, social needs, self actualization needs, and so on. Whereas spiritual values are based on our age old Vedas and Upanishads. The secularists treat management values as a science, whereas over here they treat them as a philosophy. The secular values are more westernized and the contribution of Indian thoughts is a little less. But here, in case of spiritual values, the contribution of Indian thoughts is very, very high. Now, what is the importance of value system in work culture? Why are we talking about values over here? Values are very important in any organization because the work culture, the working environment is influenced by the values of the people who are working over there. It's also influenced by the values of the management, right? So we must understand the importance of value system in work culture. Values motivate people to work together. If you have good values, value of honesty, value of team spirit, you work together collectively. This results in good quality performance. When you follow values, it results in high revenue for the organization. The growth of the organization is very fast, profitability therefore increases. Values transform the way in which a company functions. In an organization which has high values, definitely the working culture, the environment is going to be very, very positive and vibrant. Now, what is the impact of values on stakeholders? Who are the stakeholders? They play a very important role in the organization. Stakeholders are all the parties which are connected to the organization in some way or the other. They can be your customers, competitors, society, employees, government. So, if your organization follows good values, if your employees follow high values, definitely, these stakeholders are going to be positively impacted. Let's take one example of a customer. If your organization is offering good quality products at a reasonable price, competitive price, your customers are going to be very happy with you. Another example of the government. If your organization is paying proper taxes to the government will have no problems in giving you lots of concessions or allowing your business to thrive or flourish. Now we come to unit number 3. Unit 3 is very interesting. Here we deal with stress, how to manage the stress, techniques of managing stress, which include meditation, yoga. We also talk about brainstorming and brain stilling. Then there are some leadership types of leadership like transactional, transformational, then you have visionary, charismatic. Then we have the Indian approaches to motivation where the most interesting one is Sam, Dam, Danda and Bhed. So let's begin first with the topic stress. What is stress? Stress occurs when you perceive that the pressure exceeds your ability to cope. So stress is something which where when you feel that you are not in a position or you do not have the ability to cope with the challenges which are in front of you. Now, what is the cause of stress? It could be organizational stressor or individual stressor. Now, this slide shows you in detail the causes of stress over here on one side and the consequences of stress. अगर stress आ रहा है तो कैसे आता है? You know, individual Stressors could be there are some changes in the individual's life, or there's some trauma. In case of organizational stressor, if the job is very demanding, or if the office working environment is not good, or the role which the employee is given is very confusing or conflicting, or there is group pressure, or the leadership style is not good, then the employee will face organizational stress. As a result of these stressors, the employee will have to face these consequences. The consequences could be, the employee may get into depression, or may have some medical conditions, or get into some wrong habit, or this will lead to, in turn, to decline in performance, absenteeism, turnover. Employee turnover will become high, motivation and satisfaction of the employee will become low. And if this is not controlled, this is not rectified, it will lead to burnout, where the employee cannot face any pressure at all. Now, how do you manage these different stressors which are seen in the organization? So there are two approaches. One is individual approach, what the employee can do individually, and what the organization can do, that is organizational approach. So let's see what an individual can do. In order to manage stress, there are different ways. You need to manage your time, you need to be physically active, you need to do lots of relaxation techniques, and you need to meet more and more people, that is enhancing social circle. Now, as an HR manager, how can you help your employees to manage their stress? For that, you need to redesign the job in such a way that the employee is comfortable in doing the job. You should give role clarity to your employee. The employee should be very sure or very confident about what is his role in the organization. In between, you can give the employee sabbaticals, that means some break in his service, so that the employee can upgrade himself, or the employee can pursue some hobby. You can arrange some wellness programs. Employee participation in management is one important way in which the employee feels very close to the organization, loyal to the organization, and therefore the stress is reduced. There always should be a good communication between the employee and the employer. One of the important techniques of managing stress is yoga and meditation. What is yoga? Yoga stands for excellence. And what is meditation? Meditation is for concentration. So when meditation is done, it results in a calm mind. The turbulent thoughts which are coming to your mind, they just calm down. And a calm mind is the mind which can focus. So when you focus, you can easily take decisions. This slide explains in detail Patanjali Muni's Ashtanga Yoga. What is Ashtanga? Ashta means 8. So Ashtanga Yoga means 8 limbs of yoga. And which are the 8 limbs of yoga? You have Yama, you have Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana and Samadhi. These are the 8 components or 8 limbs of yoga. Each of these limbs you have to go step by step. Once you are very confident with your yam and niyam, then you have to go towards asana. After you have mastered asana, then towards pranayam, after that pratyahar, after that dharana, after that dhyan, and after that samadhi. Benefits of meditation are many. We are understanding meditation as a stress management technique, but it is not just limited to managing stress. Meditation helps you in a variety of different ways, which we are seeing in this slide over here. It increases your immunity, it helps you to have a good night's sleep, it improves your metabolism, it reduces aging, and there are so many benefits of meditation. Now comes the topic leadership. In leadership, we have to discuss transformational leadership, transactional leadership, visionary charismatic leadership, and Karta as the leader of joint Hindu family. Transformational leadership. This is a very important topic. Transformational leadership versus transactional leadership. Now, who is a transactional leader and who is a transformational leader? The leader who just wants work done, in exchange for the salary which is being paid to the employee is called as a transactional leader. But who is a transformational leader? The name itself will tell you. A leader who inspires, who empowers and coaches. He does much, much more than the transactional leader. Such a leader is a transformational leader. The transformational leader will appeal to the intrinsic motivation in the employee, whereas the transactional leader will offer extrinsic motivation. What is extrinsic motivation? It is motivation from outside. Example of that could be a higher salary, bonus, vacation somewhere, He will keep on offering such incentives for making the employees work, whereas a transformational leader will appeal to the intrinsic motivation, the desire to work hard, the passion of the employee, and he will stimulate intrinsic motivation. In case of transactional leader, the motive is self-interest. The transactional leader wants the employee to work so that the organization's goals are achieved. Whereas the transformational leader appeals to the common good, that is the employee's good as well as the organizational good. In case of changes, the transactional leader does not introduce too many changes. Only routine things are done by the transactional leader. Whereas in case of transformational leader, he is responsible for bringing major organizational changes in the organization. Then we have the next category, charismatic leader and visionary leader. Charismatic is an enthusiastic, self-confident leader whose personality and action influence people to behave in a certain way. The best example we can give is that of film stars, the heroes and heroines of Bollywood, Hollywood, who are having this charisma and they have a very deep influence on the people. Now, who is a visionary leader? A visionary leader is the one who has the ability to create and articulate a realistic, credible, and attractive vision for the future that improves upon the present situation. A visionary leader is the one who visualizes the future of the organization and motivates and inspires the employees towards that vision. Now we need to see the Indian approach to motivation. The most interesting approach, Indian approach to motivation, is given by Chanakya or Kautilya, and that is called the Sam Dam Danda Bhed theory. Now, what is this Sam Dam Danda Bhed theory? These are four different ways which can be used to influence your employees in the organization. They may be used together, they may be used as a pair, they may be used separately in whatever way, just so that the employees are motivated. Now, what is Sam? Sam means similarity. This is a positive way where you can, tell your employee, advise the employee, ask the employee to do some work. Second is dam. Dam means you have to offer some price. Dam is price. You have to offer some price so that they do the work. This is as good as the financial incentives which you give. So if the employee is going to do some work, you just, if you want them to do some work, you tell them you are going to give a particular incentive to them. That means you are paying the dam for that. Danda is negative motivation where you threaten, scare your employee. You may tell the employee that you will be removed from the job if you don't do something. And the last one is Bhed. Bhed is as good as the divide and rule policy of the Britishers, where you exploit the secrets of the employee in order to make them work. Needless to say, the best way to motivate the employee is through Sama. But depending on the situation, you may have to use Sam, Dam, Danda, Bhed, any of these different ways. The last unit is unit 4, where we are going to learn the different mechanisms of learning. The Indian system is a Gurukul system, which we are going to study in detail, and modern system, which we are following now. And we will also try to find out the difference between the Indian traditional system and the modern system. Then the other topic, a very interesting one, is law of karma, the corporate karma. The next topic is self-management and personality development. We should learn in such a way that we are led towards truth, towards light, towards immortality. This is a very beautiful shloka which says Om Asto Ma Sadgamaya Tamso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amrutam Gamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, which means learning should be such that it leads me from untruth to truth, from darkness to light, and from death to immortality. Now, what are the learning mechanisms which were used in India? Learning is done through experience. For example, if there is a fire and a small child asks you what this is, you will say, don't touch it. But the child will go and put his hand in fire. But once he gets burnt by that, forever in his life, he will not touch fire. This is learning through experience. Learning through association. You just look at what your peers are doing, your group is doing, through association, through your friend and family. You learn your first lessons from the family, then from your friends, then from your school, colleges, institution, right? In India, learning used to happen also through Maun Vrat, through silence. When you go deep into meditation, deep secrets within you are revealed. Atma Manthan, that is contemplation, Dhyana, that is meditation, Pathantar, that is memorizing. If you remember, when you were young, you used to memorize your tables, mathematical tables, which you remember even now. So that is learning through memorizing or Pathantar. Shruti is through listening and Smriti is through your memory. A very interesting way of learning which was used earlier in India, that is the Gurukul system. What is this Gurukul system? This was a system where the student used to be sent deep into the forest in the ashram of the Guru at a very young age of 7 or 8. And the Guru used to become their spiritual father. The children used to live away from the parents for quite a long period of time, where the Guru used to train them. They used to live a very simple, disciplined life over there. And the method of teaching used to be oral method. After the education would be over, the student had to offer Guru Dakshina to the Guru. However, women were not allowed in the Gurukul. Now let's see the differences between this Gurukul system, which was the ancient system, and the modern system which we are following now. The ancient system of education has been rooted in the Vedas and Upanishads, whereas our modern system has been introduced by Lord Macaulay in 1835. Ancient system, the method used was Shravana and Manana, through listening, through thinking. But here in the modern system, we are using chalk and talk method, that is the classroom where we have a board and the teacher writes on the board. Or nowadays we are using online method of education. The literature in the earlier times was Vedas, Upanishads, epics such as Mahabharata and Ramayana, whereas in the modern education, the students are taught westernized theories. Earlier, women were not allowed to study. In the modern education, there is equality. Everyone has equal right to study. In the olden times, the Guru was treated as God. The word of the Guru who used to be final. And the Guru also used to be a person of caliber, a very knowledgeable person. And he used to have knowledge of everything. He used to teach all different skills to the Shishya. Whereas in today's modern education system, we have decentralization. We have teachers who are specialized in their own field. In the olden times, there was caste discrimination. Only Brahmins and Kshatriyas were allowed to take education. Whereas in the modern system, there is total principle of equality. Everybody have a right to education. The next interesting topic in unit number 4 is laws of karma. This law is called the great law. As you sow, so shall you reap. It also comprises of different laws, like there are 12 different laws, of which the law of creation, law of humility, law of growth, law of responsibility, connection, focus, giving, here and now, change, patience, and significance. Then we come to self-management. In the ancient education system, the importance was given to self-growth, self-development, and self-management. Everybody, all the Shishyas would have to have a very clear goal. The importance of a quiet mind was always considered a utmost priority. The best knowledge would be acquired by them. Every student would have lots of intrinsic motivation, a holistic vision. The ultimate goal of mukti used to be considered very important, and work used to be considered as worship. And the last topic, Indian ethos and personality development. As an individual, your personality should be wholesome. It should develop in such a way that you become a useful asset to your family, to your society, to the nation, and to the whole world. And for this personality development, you need to acquire these qualities of tyaga, that is sacrifice, Audharya, that is generosity, Nishchayatmak, that is decisiveness, Parasanmana, that is respect for everyone, Dhairya, that is patience, Sahas, daring, Atmavishwas, self-confidence, Sadgi, that is simplicity, Sahanashilta, that is tolerance, sportsmanship spirit, that is team spirit, and a readiness to learn. So this is a brief summary of all the different topics which are covered from unit 1 to unit 4. I hope this video will be very useful to you to refresh all the different concepts. All the best for your future. God bless you.